everyone, and welcome to the Good Doctors Diagnose for Wednesday, September 2nd. I'm Dr. Donnelly, or Dr. Kristen, or the one with the glasses. All of these names are acceptable. Today, I want to talk really briefly about the importance of representation. Sorry about that. If you are on the internet at all, you've probably noticed that Friday we lost a massive personality, hero, king on this planet, Chadwick Boseman, who is most famous for playing King T'Challa in the Marvel universes. But both Dr. Aaron and I have been following him since the beginning of his career when he played Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. And we were absolutely ecstatic. I remember when he was cast as T'Challa, it was perfect in our minds. The gravitas that he carried himself with was exactly what we imagined for T'Challa. And then the more we listened to our friends of color and our Black nerd friends and Black nerd Twitter, the more they were really clear that they were willing and ready to embrace Chadwick as their T'Challa, as their Black Panther, as their superhero. And with the loss of him, it's not just a loss to the movie community and to the humanity, because we're going to lose all these stories that he could tell and these incredible ways that he was clear and committed to telling stories of Black heroes, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown, and not even heroes, but humans of a certain impact in a way to make that kind of seem. But we want to be really clear that the loss of who he is to art in general pales in comparison to who he is to specifically Black art, and specifically the children who were, for the first generation ever, growing up with a Black superhero on screen, and the incredible power of that. We've talked about this with Captain Marvel and with Wonder Woman, and the times when you saw, at premieres for both those movies, the little girls dressed up in the costumes, and both Brie Larson and Gal Gadot posing with them, and how incredibly powerful that was for both Dr. Aaron and I as girls who grew up without visual heroes in that way. We were both older. Wonder Woman was no longer on TV when we were older, and I think we can all agree that the show left some things to be desired. But as I've sat on Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and Discord this weekend and watched parents explain how hard it was to tell them that their children, that Chadwick had died, and that they had to tell them that T'Challa, the actor who played T'Challa, or even just T'Challa, was gone, and how that conversation happened for so many. The number of my Black friends who talked about going to see Black Panther from their tribal gear, or the best approximation of Wakandan colors that they could find, and it was just. This is one of those things that's really, really massive. And if you're not connected to some of the spaces where it's massive, you may not know. You may not be aware that this is a crater in the culture and not just like a blip. And we can talk all about, the really interesting ways that celebrity mourning stands in for interpersonal mourning for people who don't really have close family connections. And all of that is really, really fascinating. And there's lots of interesting research being done that really started with David Bowie's death. And I mean, even before that with Elvis's, but in earnest with David Bowie's death. And we can talk about that at length. And if anyone wants us to cover that in a GDD, please let us know. But today I just wanted to bring up the fact that it was the power of seeing a good king on the screen who was human and yet regal, who was an excellent leader and yet flawed. And then how he comported himself in press tours, and the way he talked about Killmonger and T'Challa as two sides of a coin, the ways that he fought for complicated narratives in the story. Representation matters. Seeing yourself on screen matters, but also having people with different lived experiences around the decision-making and creative tables matter. It means very little from us, but we will certainly miss his performances. We grieve with his family and friends who are grieving personally, and then also with everyone who is identified with this character so strongly, or identified with his personhood so strongly, and is grieving in that way. We grieve alongside with you. And we will certainly not stop talking about Marvel. We will certainly not stop talking about the importance of representation in art, and the importance of art to tell us as a humanity and as a culture who we are. So it's really, really important to us to keep banging that drum. And so you'll be hearing more about that from us for sure, as we continue to get more and more varied stories, even within the Marvel universe, of different cultures and different ways that comic books have been addressing things for many years, both problematically and beautifully, and how we work that out together. So that's a bit of a somber GDD for September 2nd, but it's what is on both of our hearts. I speak for both Dr. Aaron and myself, usually, but especially in this one. So whatever you get up to between now and Monday, we hope that it is restful, and wash your hands, wear your mask, and we'll see you then.